At the beginning of this month, I actually had set 7 goals for myself because for me, they all mattered at the time. Now, they all seemed reasonable when I wrote them down at the end of June. But now that we're just over halfway through the month, I haven't actually managed to give most of them the attention that I wanted to or expected. Not because I got lazy or I didn't care, and not because they were bad goals, but I've been simply trying to move too many things forward all at the same time. And what happens is I keep treating all of these 7 goals as equal and as important as each other. And I've been feeling like, if I keep doing this by the end of the month, I'm going to reach, the month and still feel scattered and not clear about what actually matter most for me right now. But there is one small thing I have been quietly doing for the past few days. I started with just 7 days. Okay, so I gave myself a little goal for 7 days, not 30, not 90, just 7. And today I need to decide whether that small goal deserves to become my main focus for the next couple of weeks. So, do I keep trying to? I've got all these questions in my head. Do I keep trying to push through all the 7 goals forward, or, and put as much effort into each and every one of them all at the same time? Or do I choose one and find out what happens when I actually give it a proper attention? So that's what we're going to work through today. And what I want you to do is work through your own goals alongside me. Okay, so I'm ready. So if you're ready, let's get going together. Hello, Plannerettes. I'm really, really glad you're here today. I want to welcome you to the first episode of a new series that I'm going to be doing called Real Life Planning. So the season, all right, I'm going to call it is Can I Stick to One Goal and Real Life Planning? All right, so over the next several episodes, I'm not only going to show you the plan that I'm going to do today. I'm also going to come back and show you what happened after the plan was made. Like, did I follow through? Because we see a lot of planning accounts here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I'm also guilty of that, where we make the plan, but we don't know what happened along the way. So did I follow through? I'm going to talk about, what helped and also what got in the way. Because, life happens. So what we put on paper and what we plan and the things that happen in our day-to-day life is not the same. And then also, what happens when the newness wears off? So if you're like me, who love creating new planner pages, setting up the planner page, putting the stickers and the washi tapes and the colorful markers, when we're actually supposed to do the things we wrote, we sort of get, we fall off the wagon. Okay. And, I want to also find out, can starting smaller help me stay with one meaningful goal longer than I usually do? Because, I'm always gung-ho when it comes to creating goals. And so I don't know the final answer yet of what will happen with the plan we make today, but that's the journey we're all going to go and follow together. All right, so before we begin, make sure to say hello in the chat and tell me where you're joining from. Okay, so let me know where you're joining from and tell me where you are with your own goals right now. So I want you to type in the live chat, too many. Okay, that's if you feel like you're trying to work on too many things all at the same time, or if you already have one main focus, so you know what deserves your attention, or if you are still deciding and you're not quite sure yet, what goals you're trying to work on. So let me quickly go check the chat right now. So we have Jatsy Girl. Hello from Sydney, Australia. So for those of you who may not know, I live in Sydney, Australia, and it is Sunday, 9 a.m. I'm ready to get going, get started, and start the day nice and easy, and along, of course, with all of you, my wonderful plannerettes. Alice, hello, Planner Pals. Nice to see you. All right, so Jatsy is like me as well. Too many plans all happening at the same time. And look, I know I have fallen victim to writing too many goals for myself because our planner has that space, or we buy planners that have the goals all set up. So what happens is we usually choose the goals that we set for ourselves because we feel like they all matter. Okay, yes, we got to do all of these things, but what happens is we start to feel bad when we can't give every one of them the same energy or attention. So I just want to let you know, today is not about telling ourselves that the other goals that we do pick, okay, that they don't matter. It's about really being honest about how much attention can we actually, put into it and how much we have available. Because at the beginning of the week, when we plan, we're all nice and relaxed. We think we can do it all. And then come Tuesday or Wednesday, everything's fallen apart. Okay, so now after this Plan With Me live stream, members here on YouTube are going to meet with me for our weekly brain dump, and I wanted to place these two together, the Plan With Me and the brain dump together, for a reason. Because what we're doing today is we are deciding what deserves more of our focus when it comes to our goals. But choosing one goal, of course, is not going to automatically clear everything else from our heads. Okay, there's going to be unfinished tasks from the week that are still going to be there. There are going to be reminders that are still pressing and that are unticked on our planner. There are going to be worries and ideas that are still going to be there. So after we choose our focus here, the members will have a place to put everything else down, sort through it, and work out what genuinely needs our attention for the new week only. I know a lot of the plannerettes, even I myself, have gone, but they've just got my task and to-do list is never ending. So we're not choosing to do everything all in the next 7 days. We're just going to choose and sort through what matters. And that's what brain dumping is going to help us with. So I'll explain more about that before we finish. But for now, let us begin with the goals that's already competing for our attention. Okay, so Alice says, I'm using this video to inspire me to plan my goals for a future college course that I'm doing in September. Fantastic. And I know, for me, when I study, I get so eager and so gung-ho that I want to focus on that, and then I forget all other things. So yes, hopefully, Alice, today's stream is going to help you decide for yourself what sort of things you may have to, let go for a season while you're studying your course, and what it is that you need to maintain or keep. So we'll work through it together, and you have a look at your own life situation and the things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. So then that way you can make sure that you are maintaining balance without giving yourself too many things to do. So I'm glad that you are here with us today. All right, so what are we going to do today? So then for those of you who are like me, who'd like to know the steps so you're not feeling so lost. So what we're going to do today, this may seem a lot, so don't worry. We're going to go through it step by step, and you're going to see how I'm going to work through it with you. Okay, so first we're going to look at all the goals we already have, or the goals that, maybe we haven't named but we think are important. And then what we're going to do is we're going to decide what is going to stay active, okay, what we're going to maintain lightly, and what sort of goals that we may have planned, whether it's the beginning of July or the beginning of the year or the beginning of the quarter, we may need to pause for a little moment, and what may no longer be belong right now. Not that they're not important, but maybe not in this month, or for Alice, maybe not, for the month of September, or however long the future college course is going to be. Then what we'll do is we're going to choose one main focus, okay? And then finally, what we're going to do is we're going to make the first stage small enough, right? Those actionable steps small enough so then it feels possible for us to do it consistently. Okay, so we don't need a perfect plan today. We only need a clearer decision. So I want you to grab your planner, go to a blank page, or grab a piece of paper or a notebook, and we're going to start setting and reviewing the goals that we may already have or have been thinking about. Okay, so why did I set myself 7 goals? Okay, so at the beginning of the month, and I do this Wheel of Life goals tracker. I've been doing this probably for a number of years now. So what I did is I sat down and, wrote down 7 goals. And so mental, physical, spiritual, family, financial, career, and social. Okay, so at the beginning of the month, they all felt worthwhile, and that's usually how it happens. We're all like, oh, I need to do this and I need to do that, and I want to make sure I maintain this. So whether you have 7, 10, 3, 4, or 5 goals that you have in mind or you've set, we don't choose those, for me, 7 random things that mean nothing to us. Okay, one goal may support our health. Okay, so if you're like me, who are going through perimenopause and going through changes and put on weight and want to be healthier, right? I want to make sure I'm looking after my health. Maybe you have a goal that you want to support your family or your home. Maybe, maintain decluttering. For those of you in the US, it's your spring season, so your spring, decluttering. Maybe another goal that you have is look at your work or your career, maybe your relationships with friends, with family, or your own personal self-care and well-being. But what happens is the problem is not that, these goals are necessarily wrong, okay, when I started writing them. But what I'm finding is because maybe I have too many, maybe I thought I was a superwoman at the beginning of the month and thought that I could do all of them all the same equal amount of time. But what happens is, divided attention starts to begin like failure. And that's what I've started feeling, okay? Because let me show you my habit tracker. Okay, so again, I've used a habit tracker like this since I think 2017 when I first started bullet journaling. So I'll come back to bullet journaling, and you see all these inspirational Pinterest, Instagram accounts and YouTube accounts that have beautifully filled in trackers. And this is mine. As you can see, I haven't filled it very well. And so what happens with all these goals that I have, those 7 goals are within these habits and routines in the tracker. Okay, so what happens is I start to look at the empty boxes or the unfilled, boxes as failures. Okay, and instead of looking at maybe the things that I have done, I start to look at the things I haven't done. And, that causes anxiety, that causes like I've failed, that causes me to think that I mustn't be good enough. And, and then I don't look at the things maybe that I have accomplished. Maybe I haven't looked at the things that has actually helped me. So sometimes having too many goals all at the same time makes you sort of like hyper focus on the empty boxes or the unchecked things. So instead of these goals that I had set for myself, right, instead of giving me direction, okay, do this, do that, now they remind me of everything I actually haven't kept up with. Okay, so let me know in the chat if this is how you feel when you look at your own planner, whether it's your goals tracker or your weekly pages or your daily planner, and you look at those empty pages or unticked habits and routines, and then they start to make you feel bad. Okay, so that is the pattern, the feeling bad, the feeling guilty, the feeling like a failure. That's the pattern I want us together to interrupt or at least stop thinking that, because when you start thinking that, then we're not good for ourselves. And then, if you're like me who gets anxious thought, you get stuck on the couch doing nothing, and then you fall behind, and then the guilt and the vicious cycle happens again and again. Miss Jones says, love this topic. Yes. And I think a lot of us, we're now halfway through the year, and maybe a lot of us have looked at things that we had set out for ourselves at the beginning of the year, or if you do quarterly planning, or, for me, I write down on a month-to-month basis the things that I'd like to go and action. It's, and you're flipping through your pages and just keep looking at the things that blank pages, missed trackers, incomplete tasks. And, it can start getting you down. So we're going to interrupt those thinking today. So I use a Wheel of Life goals tracker. Okay, so I created this printable download based on Zig Ziglar's methodology, where he says, look at 7 different key areas of focus in your life. Now, I like using this, so I'm still going to keep using this for August. I had to go June, July, August, because the reason why I like to use it is because it reminds me that goals still sit inside my real life. I still have to look at my health. I still have to look at my family and my home situation. I still have to look at work. I still have to look at what's happening with my relationships and making sure I'm, building, self-care and well-being into my plan. So, but the point is not to make each of these areas perfect at the same time. And I think that's the trap that I sometimes or a lot of times fall into, because, well, I've written it down. Now I'm supposed to do it, right? But what's this Wheel of Life tracker is to help us notice, whether you use this or not, something similar. It's to help us notice that maybe some areas may need more attention, or what sort of parts of our habits and routines and goals that are steady enough that we can maintain it, that we don't have to have too much focus and attention, and what doesn't need to become another major project for right now. Okay, so what I've done is I have linked the Wheel of Life printable download in the description below. So here what I did with mine is I printed it on A5 size or A4 size paper. I cut it in half, and then I printed it and just trimmed the edges so I can go and glue it to my bullet journal. But you can use this for ring dividers or disc bound planners, or like me, just cut it up and put it in the planner that I'm in. Okay, so you don't have to have this printable to do this with me. A blank page is going to be enough for you to write down, or if you've got dedicated planner where you can scribble, or journal things, that's going to be enough. So take the time to look, at the goals you have, if you have written them down somewhere in your planner, or write down the goals maybe that you're carrying inside your head and struggling to go, oh, I need to be healthy, I need to work out more, I need to drink more water. So I want you to write them down with me. Okay, so even the ones that you haven't officially named are goals, but it's in your head. Okay, so what are we going to do is we're going to set up 4 categories today to help us divide or look at what really needs our attention. Okay, so Alice says, this is so relatable. I focus on the negative, yes, rather than the positive. It's a frustrating habit of mine, and me too. My husband tells me, stop being mean to my wife, because I'm always being critical and being negative thinking. I was like, oh, well, I failed yet again. I didn't do the 3 to 5 workouts that I said I wanted to do this week, and what's the point? And then of course I'll get sad and upset, my clothes don't fit. And so he hears the negativity all the time. And I don't know about you, Alice, I'm tired of being so hard and critical on myself. And so, this is the whole point of today's live stream, is to go, why are we carrying so much or putting so much on our plate when we don't have to? And this is what we're going to do today. So we're going to set up 4 categories. I've already created, so I've got a blank page, so just an A4 size paper. All right, so I want you to divide your page into 4. So I've just folded it in half, and I just follow the crease with a marker. Okay, so the first one is keep active. Okay, so the first quadrant, just write down, and again, if you have a blank notebook, divide it in 4. So keep active. So these are the goals that still need some regular attention. And we're going to go through my 7 goals, and then of course you can have a look at yours and see which ones fit into which. And then the second one is maintain lightly. Okay, so these still matter, but they don't need to become your main project, at least for the next couple of weeks until the end of July, or if you're already starting to plan August. Okay, so we're going to look at which ones you want to maintain lightly. The third category is things to pause. Okay, so when you pause things, it doesn't mean that you've failed at it, or you're not good enough at maybe maintaining your home, or maybe maintaining relationships, like catching up with friends. So if you're going to be busy studying, sometimes maybe instead of catching up with friends more often, you might have to go look for this next season, whether however long the course, however long a project, however long your main focus is going to be, you might have to pause. Okay, when you pause things, it doesn't mean you failed at it. Okay, it just simply means not right now. Okay, that's all it is. It's just not for the next 2 weeks, not for the next month or the next couple of months. Okay, not a failure. We're just pausing. Okay, and then the fourth one is let go. Right, so just like Elsa, we're gonna let it go, because sometimes a goal made sense maybe at the beginning of the month, at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of the quarter, but it no longer fits our current life. Okay, so letting go can create the relief than continuing to force something that no longer belongs right now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to review my own goals, and I'm going to look at all of them one at a time, and for each one, and I want you to do the same. And we'll do this one at a time. So don't worry and go, this is a little bit too much, Marianne. And of course, you can always come back to this, and I'll try and make sure. That's why I did those little headings, like these ones. So then I can go and timestamp them. And so you can always go back once I finish the live stream and go, okay, now it's time to review. What part of the video is that on? Okay, so I'm going to ask the question for each of the goals that you have for yourself. Does this still matter? what's actually happened, the last 2 months and the last first 6 months or whatever. Does it need, my active attention right now? Do I need to still focus on them? Maybe could I maintain it lightly and, keep it in the back of the mind, but not be hard on myself that I haven't done it each and every day? And, would pausing a particular goal make more sense right now? Or am I carrying it because I think I should? Because, my planner pages has the space, I wrote it, so I must maintain it. Okay, so as I go through mine, I want you to work through your own list and your own goals too. Okay, so if you're ready, make sure to give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you are ready. Okay, so I'm going to go through mine one at a time. All right, so the first one I have is mental. So what I had written down here is, I originally wanted to, read or learn articles or watch YouTube videos or read books about it to help grow my content creation. Okay, so I wanted to dedicate at least 5 minutes a day learning. So what actually happened is, so on my goals habits tracker, I have a little section there. Where is it? Learn. Okay, so learn, as you can see, I only marked down 2 days out of the 18 days so far. Okay, so I only noted them twice when actually I was learning and, along the way. Because in my head, learning is to physically, sit down with a book and my pen and paper and listen and write the notes. So for me, when I was noting it down in my tracker, I was thinking of the physical learning, the open the book, take notes, when actual fact, I've been learning throughout my daily content creation action, whether here on YouTube or on Instagram. So I'm not necessarily dedicating specific time to sit down 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I'm actually doing it in real, in my day-to-day actions. So for now, I'm going to place the learning under pause. Okay, so have a look at if you have a goal about learning. So I think it was the mental. Okay, mental. So learn or read, I'm going to pause. So for the next couple of weeks, for the end of July, I'm not going to worry too much about, dedicating the 5 minutes each day to learn. Okay, so that's under a pause. That's already a relief for me. That was like, whew. All right, so what I'll do on this particular one here, so if you have a tracker, I'll just start at a couple of days, is I'm going to go and just cross that off. So then I'm not putting pressure on myself to actively be sitting down. Okay, so I've given myself that relief. It's like, Marianne, it's okay. Let's just pause the learning and the reading for the moment, at least for the next 2 weeks. Okay, so let me know as you go through what goal are you working along with me as I do this one at a time. So the next goal that I had in my goals tracker is the physical. Okay, so my physical well-being. So this still matters because I need to make sure I look after my health. Because I'm 51, I'm going through perimenopause right now, and I've got the midsection, my jeans aren't fitting, and I know it affects my mood and my positiveness when I look in the mirror. So for me, health is still important because I need to establish good, healthy habits right now while I am able, while I am mobile, and not wait until I'm, my doctor has gone, oh, you've got to exercise more. So I need to start building those healthy habits right now when I am, healthy. I'm not going to wait until I'm not. So it's important that it also helps me, us women, it helps us prepare in old age, our osteoporosis, our heart health. Okay, so I think, I know I've read that heart health is, much more concerning than all the cancers combined together. And for us women, heart attacks show up differently than men. So, we don't, it's not always about the clenching of the chest or, so it's important that we look after our health. So for me, the physical, okay, physical is still need to keep active, okay? So, however, on my goals, I said at least do 3 workouts per week, get outside 3 to 5 days per week, and get some cardio in by skipping. So I haven't done any skipping or consistent workout. The walking, though, I have gone outside daily for the last 7 days. So so for this one, what I'm going to do is, look, I'm going to go let go of the skipping, okay? So instead of having so many different things that I'm doing under physical, the skipping, I'm going to let that one go. Maybe workout, I'm going to try and maintain, maybe even at least 2 to 3 times per week, okay? But then on here, the daily walking, I'm going to keep that active. Daily walking. All right, or get outside. Okay, so see, even with that physical goal, why am I giving myself so much? Let's just do one tiny little thing at a time. All right, so the next one I have is spiritual. So this one, I originally had the expectation that I wanted to do, a 3 to 5 minutes of daily meditation or breathing using my Headspace app. But as you can see from my habit tracker, I think, where's meditation? Meditate 2.5 times. Okay, so there it is, 2.5 times. So I haven't done that one too much. So the meditation, is to help with my anxious thoughts and keep me mindset and my mindset and be in the moment. But I think getting outside daily has been helpful for my mindfulness. So I'm going to choose to let go of the meditation just for the rest of the month. Okay, so let go of the actual, checking my phone and the Headspace at meditation. Whew, I'm already feeling, very, again, I'm going to go, if you have a habit tracker that, you're filling in daily, and to just relieve you and release you of that pressure to try and action them, cross it off. Look, I've crossed off. Even if I wanted, maybe later I'll color that in even more fully, so then that way, it's out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so now let me make sure, how are you going with your goals? Have you already found a goal that needs, different level of attention? So I want you to write, smaller. Let's have a look. So is your goals, as you go through it, is it getting smaller? Like that little list, is it smaller? If or if you have paused anything, like me, I have paused the learning and the reading, and I've let go of skipping and meditation. And what is it that you're still going to keep? So I'm going to keep my getting outside. So let me know in the chat, or of course, remember, if you are watching this on replay, make sure you participate along, because typing, as much as writing, helps you retain the information, and it sort of like helps solidify it even more than just thinking about it. So don't forget to also type in the chat or in the comment section if you are watching this on replay. Now, remember, the goal is not to remove things as quickly as possible. So if you're still going, I don't know if I should let go of that, okay? We're not here to like suddenly wipe out all the other goals you have, because it's still important. based on our seven, the key areas of focus, that we maintain those so we have a nice balance and we're not neglecting any important things. But what we're trying to do here is we're going to stop pretending that they all require the same amount of time from us right now. Okay, so let me know how you're going so far with just reviewing the goals you have. Okay, let's keep going. So what's the next one for me? The next goal that I had set for myself was, so for my family slash home, was to, tidy up and declutter our place. So we only live in a small flat, but I betcha I can, the things I have in my cupboards or under the bed, I have one of those beds that lift up, I can feel probably a two-story house with all the all the junk that I have held on to. So what's happened for me so far regarding the family home and tidying up? I've been actively tidying up and decluttering, but not specifically, again, noting it down on my tracker. Okay, so let's see, where's tidy up? 4 times. Okay. My young son, he's 17 and he's on the autism spectrum, and he loves making sure things are in its place. So when things are not, he'll remind me, Mum, we need to go and sort out the 6 white drawers in the cupboard in July. And he writes it down in his calendar on his homeschool wall. And so he keeps me accountable because, or else we will hear about it. So because his speech is echolalic, so he repeats the same, sentences again and again until they're completed. So we're going to hear about it. So now I think the next one is we're going to go through the golf clubs in the cupboard in August. So he already has for us that we go through the cupboard that has the golf club, Dad's golf clubs in it, and we're going to need to tidy that up. So for the decluttering, I haven't been specifically tracking it on my habit tracker. But, so I think for the rest of the month, I may maintain it. Okay, so here, decluttering, it's still important because they do say that your environment, this physical space that you live in also is, a number one cause of stress if things aren't in order, because our brain always looks for order because it equates order to no threat. When things are out of place, it thinks that there's threats. What are we looking for? And our fight, flight, or freeze can get triggered because it goes, why aren't things in its place? What's wrong? What's going on? And so that can elevate your stress level, for us mums who are, things aren't in its place, and you'll see it in the morning, and then suddenly, you go from 0 to 100. It's like, why are things in its place? Okay, so that's why I'm going to maintain keeping my family home environment tidy and start decluttering things at a time. Okay, so I'm not necessarily going to track it, so I'm not going to put too much on my to-do plate. So again, even though it's maintained lightly, I'm going to take it off my tracker and just put it in my, daily planner that, I, of course, keep the house, because we divide the chores amongst us. Okay, so I'm going to take it off my tracker as not to put too much pressure on my plate. All right, so what else have we got here? So the next one that I'm looking at is finance. Ooh, finance. All right, so track daily expenses to figure out, the average expenses for our budget category. So for this one, it's still very important because for a lot of people, finance, money worries are a big cause of stress for the household. So I'm not necessarily, maybe not, do my daily tracking. So let's see, where is my expense tracker? So I've got my expense tracker here. So maybe instead of saying, tracking it daily and putting that pressure on myself, maybe I'm going to look at it maybe 2 to 4 times per week, when I sit down and maybe, when I'm checking my emails or doing my admin. So I'm going to maintain that lightly. So track expenses, okay? All right, so I'm going to maintain it lightly, but not put pressure that I got to do it each and every day. All right, so the sixth one I have here is career. So for my career, I do content creation full time. So I have created a second YouTube channel called Marianne on YouTube. That's where I've started helping women who have small business, teach, as well as who may have product or services, start going online and doing live stream or showing up online more consistently to help their business or to reach their ideal, audience. And so I've been helping a couple of clients with their Ecamm, which is the app that I use to go live to take away all the friction. Like I had a break during June for this channel, Marianne Cresp. And so instead of maybe focusing on that channel as well with the same amount of attention, instead of maybe going live every week for that channel, maybe I'll just do that maybe once every 2 weeks or maybe even once a month. So that one I think I'm going to maintain lightly. Okay, so I'm going to put Marianne on YouTube channel under the maintain lightly. So that was the goal that I had for my career for the beginning of July. And then the final one, so social, so connecting with friends, family, and loved ones is an important part of our well-being. Humans are not supposed to live in isolation. And I have fallen victim to keeping to myself. It's much easier to stay at home. It's much easier not to talk about my stress and having carer burnout, having a child on the autism spectrum. I'd rather not reach out or go out with friends, because it's easier not to talk about it and not to remind myself, the challenges of not only having a child who has special needs, but, mum stuff, home stuff, career stuff. And so I've kept isolated. Just the same way that I've stayed indoors, I haven't reached out, but I know how important it is that we reach out and connect. Even things like sending, funny memes to friends or texting or FaceTiming. So I want to make sure that I'm maintaining that connection with my family and friends. But because I've already built the habit of doing that more so in the last few months, in the last, first half of the year, I don't need to track that each and every day. So I'm going to maintain that lightly. So connection, okay? Connection. So I don't have to go and be talking to someone each and every day. And I think anyway, talking to my older son, so I have 2 sons, and make sure connecting with him and being a part of his life, because sometimes teenagers don't want their mum, whatever, talk to their mum. So I want to make sure I'm maintaining that and maintaining connection with my husband, my younger son, and my mum and dad, and my nieces and nephew. I can maintain that, those sort of that habit and goal lightly. So I'm not going to put pressure on myself that, I have to talk to someone today. I have to FaceTime someone today. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So those are the things that the 7 goals that I started with. Okay. The 4 categories that I used to review what it is that I need to do with all those 7 goals. Okay. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to step back and review. Okay, so all we did at the moment was categorize things. Just we're not making any decisions yet. We're just asking ourselves which one needs our focus for the next couple of weeks or for the next month, which ones can we maintain lightly and not put too much pressure on ourselves, which one can we pause for the moment, and which ones can we let go at this stage so we're not putting too much on our plate. Okay, so that's all we did. We just asked simple questions based on what happened, based on what our energy is, what else is happening in our life. Okay, so instead of carrying so many things all at the same time, we're gonna let some things. It's like as if if you have your handbag. Okay, I'm sure, like me, when I used to work outside of the home, I used to have so many things in the handbag, especially when my boys were little. You had the wipes in there, you have all these snacks, blah, 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 and all these things. All we're doing is we just cleared out the handbag and we're just going to put back what it is that we still need to keep and some that we might have to just put aside. So that's what it is. Let's quickly have a look at the chat. Hello, Nicole. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Too many for me and trying to get through it, like catching up on my memory planner that I have not touched since February. So maybe it's not that, I know I've fallen victim to feeling bad about I haven't touched since February. That could be something that you may needed to pause because something else took higher priority. Okay, so for us planners who bought these planners, that we said we'd love to do this, and of course now empty pages, or pages are sitting empty. We can feel bad about that. But and this is why we're doing this exercise, is because we're looking at the blank pages instead of the things that mattered most at the time. Since February, maybe lots of different life stuff happened. Okay, it's not that you were bad at memory keeping, it's just more important things needed your time and needed your priority. It's just the same way, the way I think about this when there are things that I haven't touched or I haven't maintained or haven't ticked, okay, is if I was at work right now, working outside of the home for a boss, right, for an employer, and then, of course, that's important because I need to work so I can get money, so I can provide food for the family and we can pay the bills. But if something took higher priority, like the school called and say, hey, Josh or Zach's not feeling well, you need to pick them up. Guess what I'll do with the thing that was important, which is my career and work? I'm going to pause that, put that on hold, and go and pick up my son, who's more important. Okay? So if we think of that analogy of, yes, I'd like to I would love to have memory keeping so I can look back throughout the years and all the lovely things that's happened, but something else took higher priority at the time. And so don't make yourself feel bad that, you have to catch up. Maybe what you do with those pages is, put a nice little paper clip, all right? Paper clip all those pages and then maybe use them later for what's the word? Brain fog. Brain fog has hit me right now. Overflow of other pictures that happen from now on. So maybe the pages that you have for August, September are not enough for the pictures that you want to print. So you can always go back if you're like me and have taken lots of photos, throughout the months. Go print those and pop them back. Okay, so hopefully, you're not feeling guilty about not touching your memory planner since February because something else took a higher priority. And sometimes that something else, right, could be you resting, could be you nursing, any emotional challenges that you might have. Or maybe it's just you just sitting on the couch and doing nothing because you needed to reset. Or, a lot of us women, mums, think that resting and sitting on the couch under the blanket is a waste of our time. No, it's us re-energizing, replenishing, so then we can come back, bigger and better. Laura, hello. Hello, Marianne and Planarette. Nice to see you, my dear. Thank you so much for being here. Hello, Chris. Hi, everyone. Remember that we overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what we can achieve in a decade. Exactly. And we forget when we're so, we think of the daily things that we need to do on a granular basis, the next half hour, the next hour. We all think that they're all very important. And this is why I wanted to do this exercise today, is because I was leaning towards feeling bad that I haven't actioned everything that I said I wanted to do. The skipping, the meditation, the learning, the not working out 2 to 3 times per week, not marking on my planner that I'm, tracking my expenses or, doing decluttering my home. Okay. So what we will need to do now is step back. Okay, now that we can see, hopefully if you're doing this with me, or for those of you that are going to come back a little bit later and do this yourself with your own goals and the habits and routines you've set for yourself, it's now time to look at the big picture. Okay, so I began with 7 goals at the beginning of the month, all competing for my attention, but they don't all need the same level of focus. Some can remain active. Some I may just lightly maintain. Some I'm allowed to pause. And maybe there are ones that are ready, that I can let go, so then that other areas can receive more attention. Okay, so I want you to look at your own page and look at your own goals, or have a think, right? Which one goal would make the biggest difference if I give it more attention now? Okay, that's all we're doing. We're not saying the others aren't important. So which one goal will make the biggest difference if I gave it more attention now? Okay, so this is not forever. Okay, it's not for the rest of the year, just for the next stage. Okay, so I want to clarify, choosing one main focus doesn't mean you're abandoning everything else, okay? Because I know life doesn't stop because we only choose one thing to focus on, okay? Because you may still need to care for your home, okay? You may still need to, of course, care about the work that you do. You may still want to drink water, move your body, read. You may want to journal or memory keep, just like Nicole. Or you may want to stay connected with your loved ones. But those things don't all need to be active improvement projects all at the same time. Okay, so another analogy I'm thinking, I have never done this, but home renovation, right? Unless you're the builder or in the construction business, you're gonna work at one room at a time. Okay, so some of the goals, habits, and routines that you have set for yourself, right? Some can be maintained, some happen. If you have a little bit more space today, just like Chris said, if we overestimate what we can do, but if you can only do a tiny little bit instead of 5-minute meditation, maybe I can do, just 3 deep breaths or 5 deep breaths, or color in my coloring book. Okay, so some can wait, right? And because the goal is not to only do one thing, okay? The goal is to stop expecting ourselves to give everything equal focus, okay? So the expectation and the pressure we put on ourselves is often where our guilt begins, because we think we have to do it all, okay? So I want to let you know the goal I have quietly started for myself, okay? So I started to focus a little bit more on getting myself outside. Now, for some of you might go, get yourself outside? That's so easy. It's like, What do you mean, get yourself outside, Marianne? So these are the reels that I have on my Instagram, and I've added them to my highlight. Okay. The reason why getting myself outside is one of those difficult things for me is because I am a content creator. I'm on my desk. I'm a planner and a content creator. So that's my, my focus. So I'm in front of the camera, I'm at my desk, and it's so much easier to just stay indoors. Okay. So ideally, of course, I'd like to go out during daylight and get some light because that's important for vitamin D. And, studies have shown getting yourself out there, even just looking at trees and the grass and looking at nature is going to help with your mood. But look, even if it's already dark, I'm still going to have that. So as you can see, I went, walking with my husband here. It's still going to count. So for me, the important part is intentionally getting out of my usual indoor environment. Because like I said, I can easily stay inside for a long period of time. So let me show you here. Okay, get outside. Get outside. Where is my habit tracker for get outside? Why is it stuck? It's stuck. Get outside. Okay, so prior to, I've actually gone outside the last 7. Prior to that, twice a week. And you would probably go, well, you don't get yourself outside. I'm fortunate that hubby does the grocery shopping. Okay, so he does the grocery shopping. So I have sort of like fallen into the trap of, oh, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anybody. Okay, so I can easily stay inside for long periods of time, especially when I do feel low or when anxious thoughts begin building, because staying inside can feel so much easier. I can tell myself, oh, I'm busy, I'm working, I've got content creation, I've got to film, all right? I have work to do. Look, I'm being productive, but sometimes being busy, right? So that's what I say. Look, I'm busy. I don't have time to get myself outside. Being busy indoors also keeps me inside the same thoughts in my head, the same worries, the same environment. And the longer I stay there, the more I'm going to get down, I'm going to feel low, and I'm going to feel anxious. So, I know getting outside does affect my mood because changing my environment, right? I'm under these lights all the time. So I've got soft boxes, I've got, tech and gear around me. I know the change of environment helps. Movement, okay, getting off my butt, off this chair, right? Fresh air, daylight. Not only is it good for vitamin D, fresh air, and help your body clock, so it's going to help me sleep better. And stepping away from, the same environment and the same room can stop the cycle that I get stuck in my head. And sometimes I get stuck in there for a while, and I can get low and I can get sad. And that's when the limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I'm falling behind. Why aren't you, further ahead? Why haven't you made the money? This is going to be all you're good at, right? That's stuck in my head. So getting outside, it's not going to fix everything. I know that, but I do come back, or come back still with worries, still with responsibilities, but I know something does shift. My thoughts feel less heavy, and the day does feel a little bit better. I actually get myself, and I love people watching sometimes, so I like doing that. Okay, and I feel more connected to the world that's outside this noggin of mine. And a lot of times the things that's inside my head can be so mean, can be so negative. Okay, so getting outside matters, because when anxious thoughts stay in there inside my head, they can, stack on each other, they can build on each other. And one worry becomes another. Another unfinished task on my list reminds me of 5 other things I haven't done. Okay, and before long, everything feels urgent. Now, that's also why brain dumping helps me. Okay, so I have, for those of you who are new to my channel, I have a free brain dump guide. This is a free printable, right? You've got the guide, you got the trigger list, and you have, these grid page. So it's a grid page there. Okay, so it's the same way that brain dumping helps me. Okay, because when the thoughts stay inside your head, okay, and when you're not writing them down, they're going to start feeling all tangled. And have you noticed that they become larger, right? Because then you remember all the other things that didn't happen, or all the other things that you didn't do. Okay, but I know when I write down the things in my head, I can see them. Okay, I can sort through them. So this is, these little color boxes are me sorting through what matters right now. And also it can help me decide what actually needs attention. So just the same way that we did with our goals today, just writing them down, reviewing them one at a time, I get to know, you know what, that doesn't need my attention right now. I can leave that for next week. And so what happens? Your to-do list becomes smaller because they're not all needing attention right now. So I know that getting outside does something similar for me physically. Okay, so it changes my surrounding and creates the distance. Okay, so brain dumping, okay, is going to help create that distance from your thoughts on paper. It's going to help you step outside the thoughts that may be spiraling in your head. So then you gives you enough time to figure out what needs your attention right now. Okay, instead of saying everything is important, Marianne, everything is urgent, right? Brain dumping will help you sort what needs your attention, what can wait until next week, next month, at the end of the year, what maybe belongs on another list. So instead of your to-do list for this week or to-do list for today, maybe it just belongs on the someday maybe, or the list of stuff that you can look at later when you have a little bit more time, energy, capacity. And what is it that's not yours to solve today? Again, this is us women who feel like we got to do everything, because if we don't do it, it doesn't get done. But sometimes we may have to go, I don't have time to solve that today. Okay, so I would love to know, is there one small thing that helps your own spiral? Right? So is that memory keeping? Is that crocheting? Is that painting? Is that meeting up with friends? It could be going outside like I have, that's helped me. Also having a shower, okay, that's what, or tidying up. I know that helps me stop spiraling. Maybe going into another room, making yourself a cup of coffee or tea, journaling, write everything down, maybe tidying up your desk or the kitchen. So I know for me, cleaning actually helps reset my mind, or putting some music on. Okay, so you don't need to share anything deeply or personal, but just tell me, what's one small action that helps you create that shift, get you out of your own head? Let me know in the chat, or let me know if you are watching on replay in the comment section, okay? Because then that might help someone else, because, oh my God, yes, actually going and watching 15 minutes of reality TV helps me get myself out of a bad mood or those anxious thoughts. So let me know in the chat or in the comment section. Okay, so why did I start with the 7 days of getting myself outside? Okay, so I didn't begin because I've done this in the past, I didn't begin by saying I'm going to go outside every day for 90 days. Because I do have a printable download that tracks workout for 90 days. Okay. I didn't even begin with 30 days. I just started with 7 because 7 felt possible. Okay. For you, that might be next 3 days, the next 5 days. Okay. Sometimes the goal that we write for ourselves is actually not the problem itself. The problem could be the size of the commitment that what might actually stop us. So we might go, for the next month, I'm going to read more, drink more water, do my AM and skincare routine, for the next 30 days. Okay. A long commitment can sometimes feel very heavy before we even begun the goal or the action. So 7 days gave me a beginning and an end, ones that I can see. So instead of having a wide focus like this, so maybe 30 days or 90 days, and I've still got 21 more days, right? All right. Maybe you can narrow down the amount of time that you're going to action it. All right. So 7 days gave me a beginning and an end. I could test it. I could notice what's helping. I could notice what's getting in the way. So for me, getting in the way was not getting myself outside maybe early in the day. And so now, if I want to commit to getting outside daily, if it's late at night, I got to put my shoes on. It's cold. So I noticed that, okay, maybe I might put that goal a little bit higher in my day. Okay. I notice what it's got in the way. Then I can decide what will come next based on real experience, not just good intention, not just, I want to do this for the next 30 days, for the next 90 days. I can go and tweak and change things as they went. So now I need to answer the question I opened with, okay? Do I keep treating all the 7 goals as equal priorities, or do I just choose one main focus? So looking at everything on this page, like the little 4, where's my goals? Okay, so that's how I started at the beginning of the month. Okay, now looking at everything on this page, I'm choosing getting myself outside every day as my main focus. Okay, so choosing one. Again, look, I haven't abandoned everything, although I have paused and let go of a couple of things. But now, instead of feeling the heaviness of all of this, I have one main focus. Okay? I have completed my first 7 days. So I noted it down on Instagram and I made a highlight. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to extend it to the next 7 days. So then I'm going to have 14 days and see it, right? So I've already had some wins. Now I'm going to see what will happen if I keep going for the next 7 days. The novelty of it all and the excitement, and I probably won't, be filming it each and every day, right? So what will happen in the next 7 days? Will I maintain it? Okay, so these other goals haven't disappeared. Some will stay active. Some I'll maintain lightly. I paused one and I've let go of a couple of things, okay? So, but the goal I'm going to follow more closely for the next few weeks is this one. But the real question is not whether I can write it in my planner. I know I can do that. I can write, get outside, okay? The real question, and the same for you with whatever goal you pick, can I stay with one goal long enough to see a meaningful change? Okay, so what if I gave us permission not to do 7 things, 10 things, 5 things, all with the same amount of focus? What if we can just focus on one goal long enough to see meaningful change? And so that's what we're going to find out, okay? So in this series, today is episode 1, okay? Oops, Siri is Siri started noting down. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Okay, so we're going to create some rules, and I want you to create some rules for yourself as well. Okay, so I'm going to decide what counts. So for me, getting outside means intentionally leaving the flat or stepping to a different outdoor environment. Okay, of course, daylight is going to be ideal, but the nighttime is still going to count. Because in the past, I would have gone, well, I said I wanted to get outside during the day. Now I went outside at night. Oh, I'm a failure. Okay. Oh, I didn't do that very well. It's only day 2. Okay. So I want you to create rules for yourself. So then when it comes time to, maybe it might be a little bit more difficult to action that goal, you created rules so you're not having to think on the go when you're tired, when you're low, when you're sad, when you're angry, when you're frustrated. Okay, so the garden for me, right? There's a little garden in our apartment block that's still going to count. Maybe if you're also doing get outside, getting out on your driveway still counts because you're getting yourself outside a different environment. A short walk still counts. If it's just around the block, still going to count, right? Sitting outside still counts. So it's not necessarily walking outside. It's getting outside for me, okay? So going out for an errand, right? So if I'm going to go to the shops, it's still going to count as long as I notice that I have stepped outside my normal indoor environment, okay? So I'm not setting a minimum duration yet. I'm not doing for 5 minutes. I'm not going to get myself outside for 20 minutes or get myself outside for an hour. Right now, the first goal is consistency. I want to make getting outside easier to repeat before I add more rules, okay? So think of your one. What rules, right? So if you want to do, breathing exercises, 3 deep breaths is enough. Or maybe just sitting down, moving the keyboard away from you and just closing your eyes for a couple of seconds is enough to just give yourself a rest. So write down little rules, okay? Now, what if I miss a day? I also need to decide what will happen if I miss a day, because I don't want one missed day to become the reason I stop altogether. I have done that too many times. I went, oh, well, I failed already. I'll start next month. I'll start next week. Okay, so I'm going to track the days that I do it, but I'm not using one missed day as proof that the whole goal has failed. So I want you to do the same. Okay, I didn't memory keep. I didn't study. I didn't go out for a walk. I didn't reach out with friends. I don't want you to note that as a failure. Okay, so for me, if I miss one, the next step is to get outside again. That's all. I don't need to punish myself. I do that enough times. Thank you very much, Marianne. I'm not putting any more pressure on myself. I don't need to turn one imperfect day into a complete restart. So for me, I'm simply going to return. Okay, I'll get outside tomorrow. Okay, that will be another part of this season. So we're going to look at later on in this season of this real life planning. So you will see me. I'm not going to go and say, oh, I have to be perfect. I know already I'm going to miss a day because I know my pattern. I can get sad and I can get low. So why am I going to put more pressure on myself? Okay, so the question is, can I continue after an imperfect day instead of using it as a reason to abandon my goal altogether? Okay, so now it's your turn. I want you to look at the goals you've written down and I want you to ask yourself, which one would make the biggest difference if I gave it more attention right now? Do as I have, circle it, okay? Make it pretty, put borders around it, whatever it is. Okay, so you're not saying the others don't matter. You're saying this is the one I'm going to notice. This is the one I'm going to support. This is the one I'm going to make room for. Okay, so when you're ready, either type it in the chat or type it in the comment section. Okay, I want you to note down what it is that you're going to focus on. Okay, And then this is what I want you to do. Make the first stage small, just like I did with the just get myself outside for the next 7 days. I want you to decide on your first stage. It may be 3 days, 7 days, 1 week, 10 minutes a day, one drawer if you're decluttering, one page if you're journaling, one walk, one phone call to a friend. Don't choose a version that sounds impressive, like I did, okay? I wanted to go and work out 3 to 5 times per week. And what happened? I didn't, okay? Because I made it too big of a commitment, okay? Don't choose a version of that first stage to be too grand. Choose a version that you're willing to begin. So what I want you to do is I want you to write down your main focus, okay? My main focus is, so for me, my main focus is to get myself outside. The first stage, well, mine now will be second. My next stage is the next 7 days. What counts is changing my environment. And if I get off track, I'll come back and get myself outside again the next day. Okay? So my main focus is, my first stage is 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 deep breaths, 2 lines per day in my journal. What counts is, okay, if I get off track, I'll come back again and do it the next day. Okay, so how are you going to track it? So for my goal, I'm just going to use my planner. Okay, I'm going to put each and every day on my top priority, get outside, get outside, get outside, get outside, get outside. Okay, so you don't need to create a goals tracker at the moment because we're keeping it simple, remember, and we're not putting pressure on myself. So is it 7 days? And then for me, the next 14 days, the next 21 days, the next 30 days. What do they say? How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Okay, and then perhaps I can continue for the next 2 months. Okay, I'm not promising all those stages today. Don't make that big commitment for yourself today. Okay, each stage is going to give you a place to pause and review. Maybe this next 7 days, I don't complete because, I don't know, maybe I get sick or maybe I get another client on my schedule, okay? So just doing it stage at a time, one small step at a time is going. I want you to look at this as an experiment, okay? It's not a test of whether you're good or you're disciplined enough or you have enough motivation. That's what I want to show in this series. Not a perfect transformation after it's already happened. I'm going to help us look at each stage as what happens after we make the plan, okay, and then we put it into our planner and we put it into our week, okay? Make the next stage visible in your planner. Whether you just put it on a small post-it note, whether you just write it each and every day, we're not planning the entire transformation. We're only going to look at the next repeatable action. Okay, so I'm going to add little get outside each and every day as a symbol to get outside for each day. Okay, also I want you to consider, or we're going to consider what will happen. Okay, if I leave it until the end of the day, I may continue postponing it. So so my current cue will be perhaps before settling into work, I could go outside for a walk after breakfast. Perhaps I can connect it to something I already do. Maybe the planner, writing, as I know, writing it in my planner doesn't make the goal complete for me, but it can help me see the decision before the day gets filled with other things. Okay, so put it on your top priority. So at the end of this stream, take a few minutes to place your own first stage action into your week. Okay, so make sure that you take time to just focus on that. Okay, so my main focus is, this is the thing I want you to write, is my main focus is for me, getting myself outside for the next 7 days. Okay? So as you think about your new week, you may already notice something. Even after choosing this main goal, your mind can still be, listing everything else. Oh God, man, I got to get myself outside, but then I got to also track my expenses. Oh, and then that dentist appointment cost more than I thought, right? So there's still going to be stuff in your mind. And that's exactly why the brain dump is the next part of today's planning flow. Choosing one focus, answers what deserves more of my attention. And the brain dump answers what else is in my mind trying to hold, that I'm trying to hold where maybe it doesn't belong for right now. Okay, so we don't do a brain dump on our page, okay, for just the sake of it. Okay, we do it so every thought doesn't have to keep circling in our heads. When we brain dump, we get to choose what belongs this week, what can wait, what's just an idea and not actually a task on our to-do list, and what maybe belongs on another week. Okay, so this is not something, or if you have something in your head, it may not be something that you need to solve today. Okay, so that's the space we are going to create inside the membership this week. Okay, so just breathe in. We talked about a lot, and I know we don't have to have the answer today for all our, which goal we want. Okay, so I want you to go write down what's your main focus and what your first stage is. Okay, so have a think. Clearing one drawer, working on a project for 5 minutes. You're not promising a perfect result today. You're choosing a clearer place to begin. Okay, so after this stream, I think we'll have a quick break for the members. We'll have a quick break, but in the next 10 minutes, we'll go and join me for the weekly brain dump. So for my lovely members, bring your brain dump page, okay? So you've got your printable download. We'll clear everything else that's sitting in our head. So there's a nice clear page. And then we're going to look at what genuinely needs our attention for the coming week. Okay, so it's not another place where you need to arrive with everything organized. It's the place where you're allowed to arrive with the mental clutter. Okay, you don't need to know what to prioritize before you arrive. Okay, we work that out as we go. We put timers on, we have a nice music, we enjoy our cup of coffee. I'll make sure to heat my coffee because it's gone cold. Okay, so the membership link is in the description, or there should be like a join button. When you click that, you're not joining yet, but it tells you what the membership is all about. So make sure to check that out. And if and when you do join, you will be able to access today's members only brain dump. And so when I end this, it's going to lead you into that. Let's have a quick break and get your coffee, go to the bathroom, and then we'll do our brain dump together. Thank you so much for joining me today, my wonderful plannerettes. Hopefully today's session help you reduce the goals and the focus into one main thing that you're going to keep active. I'll see you in the brain dump very soon. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.